So now we have lesson 22 a little bit more. It says, suppose that you got two expressions below and were asked to complete the square on each one. What trouble may you have and why? Talk about it. Pause the video. Well, if you look at the first one, you're missing the C. Well, we can figure out what that C is by doing what we did in the last thing. The last one, we can take half of the 18, and we can square it and get 81. Okay, so that wouldn't be a big deal at all. But if I look at the second one, it gives me 80 instead of 81. So somehow I have to come up with that extra one. So we're gonna draw, well, you're gonna draw it. So draw the tile, and I'll give you a second. Pause the video. So yours should have looked like this. Yes, mine's so beautiful. You should have come up with 81 tiles. Let's go over to number 3. So if I had this expression, okay, using what we just did, but going into it a little bit more, okay, we're looking for the perfect square binomial that matches our quadratic expression as closely as possible. How would we know that there must be an x term in our binomial? Well, x times x. We know there's an x squared, so we know we have to have that part. Then the quadratic expression in the standard form has a linear term of plus 18x. The constant term must, what constant term must the perfect square binomial have if the linear term coefficient is a positive 18? Okay, so we want this to be even. So that would have to get us to be plus 9x. So if that's true, this must be a plus 9, and this must be a plus 9. If that's true, what does this get us? Well, that gets us an 81. Now, this term says right here that it's going to be 80. Well, I don't want it to be 80. I want it to be 81. That's what it told me. So if this from this box up here tells me that the expressions should be x squared plus 18x plus 81. But if you notice right now, it only has an 80. So how can I make this 81 into 80? Well, I can subtract 1. Well, what's 81 minus 1? It's 80. So now I can write my expression, this part right here that I got from my model up here, and then a minus 1. So let's try that down here. Let's try down below. We're going to do the same thing. We were told that in order to complete the square in the last chapter, or in the last unit, lesson, whatever, we take half of our b value. So negative 4 divided by 2, and we square it. That is going to come out to 4. Well, I already have 15. If I take 15 and I take away 4 from that, I get 11. Is 4 plus 11 still 15? It sure is. So I get x minus 2 all squared. How did I get that 2? Right here, half of the b value. Then I have my plus 11 that's still on the outside. Try it one more time before I let you try it on your own or in your groups. So n squared minus 2n. So I take my b value, which is negative 2, I divide it in half, and I square it. So negative 2 divided by 2 is going to be, negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. So if I have this number, I have negative 15, and I have plus 1. Well, let's look at this. What's 1 minus 16? It's negative 15. So I have n minus 1. Again, all I do in order to get this is either take the square root of this number, or you take half of that number, and then I write the minus 16 on the outside. So right now, I want you to try to do 8 through 11. Pause the video. So when you did 8 through 11, hopefully, I'm going to cover up the rest of my answers. Hopefully you got these answers. You took half of 20, which is 10, and 10 squared is 100. 100 minus 140 would get you that negative 40. Over here you took half of this and got 500 and squared it. Should have gotten 250,000. Okay? Go ahead and pause the video and do the next ones. And the answers to these. Did you notice that as soon as I put it into y equals, that I then have the vertex form? All I would have had to done is make these y equal, and they would be in vertex form. So that is lesson 22.